Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a scenario that I think is pretty universally painful.
Oh, I can guess where this is going.
Yeah, it's that specific moment of regret that hits you about 3 days after you click buy online. You know the feeling.
You mean the shipping notification panic? Like, oh no, my bank account.
No, even later than that, actually. It's the box opening panic.
Oh, right.
You ordered something incredible, and in this case, for today's deep dive, we're talking about a custom LED neon sign.
Right.
So it arrives, you pull it out, you plug it in on the kitchen floor just to test it out, and it looks spectacular. It's glowing, it's vibrant. You feel like an absolute interior design genius.
It's the honeymoon phase of the purchase, really. Just pure dopamine hitting your brain.
Exactly. But then you unplug it, you pick it up, walk over to that completely blank wall where you envisioned it living forever, and reality just hits you like a ton of bricks.
Because you realize you have absolutely no idea how to get it up there.
None. Zero idea how to hang this thing without destroying the drywall or shattering the sign or, I don't know, electrocuting yourself.
It's the classic gap between acquisition and installation. I mean, we buy the fantasy of an object, right? The vibe it brings to the room. But we very rarely plan for the mechanics, the actual physics of putting it in the space.
And usually, my personal strategy is just grab a hammer, find a nail, and hope for the absolute best.
Which is terrifying.
It is. And for a neon sign, that feels really wrong. So today we are diving into the definitive guide to installing LED neon signs, specifically focusing on some great insights from heartneon.com.
Which is a fantastic resource.
It really is. And our mission today isn't just about hammering a nail. It's about professional-grade installation, doing it right. Because doing it wrong is the difference between a high-end aesthetic and a really clunky, messy DIY project.
I'd argue that treating this like hanging a paper calendar is exactly why so many home installations look terrible. This isn't just putting a hole in drywall. It's about material science, electrical safety, and frankly, respecting the art.
Okay, you're already making me a little nervous with words like material science. I mean, I just want a glowing pink flamingo on my wall.
And you can have your flamingo, but you really have to respect what it's made of. The guide actually starts with a fundamental shift in understanding what you're holding in your hands.
Because when I say neon, I think most of us listening still picture those old 1980s beer signs in dive bars.
Right. The buzzing, hot, incredibly fragile glass tubes filled with gas.
Or if you look at them wrong, they shatter.
Exactly. But if you bought a sign recently, especially from a modern fabricator like the Art Neon, you aren't holding glass. You are holding a composite.
Okay, so what is it actually?
It's usually a flexible LED strip encased in a silicone or PVC jacket, and the whole thing is mounted on a solid, clear acrylic backing.
Wait, so it's basically plastic.
Well, plastic simplifies it a bit too much. Think about the physics of the light. Old neon used gas discharge for that continuous glow, but these modern signs use LEDs, which are essentially tiny point sources of light, little dots.
Right, but when I look at one, I don't see dots. I just see a smooth line of light.
And that is the magic of the silicone jacket I mentioned. It diffuses those tiny dots so perfectly that it mimics the continuous liquid glow of traditional gas neon.
That makes total sense. And so that whole light strip is attached to the acrylic board.
Yes. And you are essentially mounting that lightweight acrylic panel, which completely changes the difficulty level compared to old school fragile glass. Acrylic is durable. It won't shatter easily, but it does have a weakness. It scratches incredibly easily, and it holds a static charge like crazy.
So if I try to wipe off a fingerprint with a dry paper towel.
You're basically sanding it. You're scratching the surface and turning it into a giant dust magnet all at once.
Oh, wow. Okay. Noted.
So rule number one from the source material is really to treat that acrylic backing like it's a delicate camera lens, not a window pane.
Good tip. So I've got this high-tech sandwich of silicone and acrylic. Now, before you even look at my wall, the guide suggests a pre-installed checklist.
Crucial step.
Now, I usually skip checklists because I am horribly impatient. What happens if I skip this one?
You end up with a gorgeous sign bolted to your wall that you physically cannot plug in.
Okay, yeah, that's bad.
The most critical thing to check on the pre-install list, and this is something people miss constantly, is the power cable direction.
The umbilical cord.
Yes. On a custom sign, that cord might exit from the bottom left, the bottom right, maybe it's hidden dead in the middle. You need to know exactly where that wire leaves the acrylic relative to where your actual wall outlet is.
Because if the cord comes out on the left side,
yeah,
and my nearest outlet is way over on the right,
you are going to have a thick black wire stretching diagonally across your wall like a seatbelt.
That is awful.
It ruins the floating illusion instantly, so you check the cord direction. You also verify the overall size and weight of the piece, because even though it's not heavy glass, a really large sheet of acrylic still has some weight to it.
And you need to locate the pre-drilled mounting holes in the acrylic, right?
Exactly. Find those holes before you're holding the sign up against the wall, making your arms tired.
Makes sense. So let's talk location scouting. The guide suggests places like above a bed, behind a couch, maybe behind a business counter or a photo backdrop wall. But honestly, I feel like where I put it is usually dictated by where the studs are in the wall.
And that is a huge trap. If you only ever hang things where the wall studs are, your room's layout is going to look completely off balance.
That is so true.
Before we even get to studs versus drywall anchors, the guide connects your location choice to logistics. It's not just about where it looks cool, it's about constraints.
Like the power outlet proximity we just talked about.
Right. You do not want ugly extension cords stretching across your living room floor. You also need to think about discrete cord management, which we'll get into. But the big one is moisture avoidance.
Well, yeah, don't put your electric toaster in the bathtub. Don't put your electric sign in the shower. I mean, that's just common sense.
You would think so. But people absolutely love putting neon in bathrooms. They want that moody spa vibe for selfies. But the guide gets really specific here. You have to check the IP rating.
IP rating.
Ingress protection. It's an international standard. Most standard indoor neon signs are rated IP20.
Meaning what?
Meaning, if you touch it with your dry finger, you're totally fine, but it has zero protection against moisture, none, steam from a hot shower. That humidity will eventually corrode the tiny solder points on the LED strip.
So the sign just shorts out and dies.
Basically, it creates resistance in the wiring, heats up, and fails. If you really want a sign in a damp area like a bathroom or outdoors, you have to verify the sign is IP67 rated.
IP67.
Yes. That means it's completely sealed against dust and can handle actual water exposure. If the product specs don't explicitly say IP67, keep it far away from the bathroom.
That is a pro tip. I definitely would have just put a regular one above my sink and hope for the best.
A lot of people do.
Okay, so we've picked a nice dry location. We know where the cord is going to hang. Now we have to actually attach this thing to the vertical surface.
The fun part.
The terrifying part.
Yeah.
The guide outlines 3 distinct mounting methods, and I want to grill you on these because I have a long, sad history of failed wall mountings.
Fire away. Let's fix that today.
All right, method 1, the permanent solution. Screws with wall anchors. This feels like the standard, robust approach.
It is. It's the gold standard for secure, permanent mounting. If you use this method correctly, that sign is not coming down.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch. The process is straightforward, right? You mark the hole positions on the wall using the sign as a template, you drill pilot holes, and you insert the anchors.
Right.
But the critical warning in the guide here is about over-tightening the screws.
Over-tightening. But wait, I want the sign to be tight against the wall. If it's loose, it wobbles when someone walks by. Why shouldn't I crank that screw down as hard as I can?
Right. Because of the material we talked about earlier, you are driving a metal screw head directly against a rigid sheet of acrylic. If you apply too much torque, too much pressure, you will crack the acrylic backing. While the LED neon itself is incredibly durable, the acrylic will suffer from stress fractures.
You hear that little cracking sound.
Yes, and once you hear that snap, it's too late. It compromises the structural integrity of that mounting point. Plus, it looks awful because the LED light will actually catch and highlight those tiny cracks in the plastic.
So how tight is too tight?
The rule of thumb is to secure it gently. Tighten the screw until the head just touches the acrylic and firmly holds it in place, and then stop immediately. You're not bolting a tire onto a car.
Just snug.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, let's move to method 2. This is for the renters listening or people who break out in a cold sweat when they hold a power drill. Command hooks or heavy-duty adhesive strips. The renter solution.
Very popular option. This is fantastic for lightweight signs, or if your lease explicitly says no drilling holes in the walls.
But does it actually work? I feel like I've heard horror stories of things crashing down in the middle of the night.
It works if you follow the instructions, which most people don't. The key with adhesives is surface prep and cure time. You can't just slap a heavy-duty strip on a dusty wall and hang a sign on it 5 seconds later.
So you have to clean the wall first.
Clean it, dry it, apply the strips, and then you usually need to press firmly and let the adhesive actually bond to the wall for a set amount of time before you apply any weight to it.
So read the package, basically.
Exactly. Read the package.
All right, method 3. Hanging chains. The guide calls this the commercial solution.
Because you see it a lot in business windows or suspended installations at weddings or events where a traditional wall mount simply isn't possible.
It gives it a really cool floating in midair vibe.
It does. It's beautiful. The main thing here is ensuring whatever hook you're putting into the ceiling is anchored into a solid joist, not just hanging out in empty drywall. Gravity is pulling straight down with this method.
Good point. Okay, so we've got the sign up. It hasn't fallen down. We haven't cracked the acrylic backing,
Oh,
but we are not done. This is the part of the source material that I think really separates the amateurs from the pros. Aesthetic mastering.
yes. The cables.
The cables, because nothing ruins the illusion of a cool, floating neon sign like a tangled black power cord dangling down the wall to the outlet.
It completely breaks the spell. A messy cable makes it look like a construction site or just a cheap appliance. The philosophy here is that neon should look effortless.
So how do we hide the guts of the operation? The guide lists a specific toolkit for this.
First line of defense, transparent cable clips. Instead of letting the cord hang loose, you pin it tightly against the wall, following the corners or the trim. Because the clips are clear, they're barely noticeable.
Okay, that's easy enough.
But if you really want that high-end pro look, you use cord covers or paintable wire channels.
The little plastic tracks you stick to the wall?
Exactly. You run the wire inside the track, snap it shut, and then you literally paint the outside of the channel the exact same color as your wall. The wire effectively disappears into the architecture of the room.
It's extra work, but it makes such a difference. It elevates the whole room.
Absolutely.
And before we put the tools away, there's the final check phase. You plug it in, you step back, and you apply what the guide calls the 1 centimeter rule.
This is my favorite piece of advice in the whole guide.
Tell me about it.
The guide notes that the difference between a nice installation and a strictly professional one is often literally just 1 centimeter of leveling.
Just 1 centimeter.
The human eye is incredibly sensitive to things being slightly off horizontal. If your sign is crooked by even a fraction of an inch, it will subconsciously bother you every single time you walk into that room.
It's so true. You just stare at it and think, something is wrong here.
Right. So don't trust your eyes during the install. Take the time, use a real spirit level or a leveling app on your phone, and adjust that alignment until it is perfectly, mathematically straight.
Perfect. So the sign is level, the cables are hidden. Let's touch quickly on safety and care. We established earlier that these are modern LEDs, which means low voltage.
Yes, usually 12 volts. They operate at a low voltage and they stay cool to the touch, unlike old gas neon, which could actually burn you if you touch the glass.
That is reassuring. But despite that durability and safety, there is a strict never list in the source material. We already covered the moisture thing. Do not expose to water unless it's IP67. What else is on the never list?
Never bend the acrylic backing.
Right, because it will snap.
Yes. It is rigid for a reason. And here's a huge one for the DIY crowd. Do not cut the wiring.
Wait, really? What if the cable's just way too long and I want to shorten it? Can I just snip it and splice the wires back together?
Do not do that. Unless you are a licensed electrician, cutting and splicing those wires can cause a voltage drop. Your sign will start flickering, or half of it will be dimmer than the rest. Just coil the extra wire and hide it.
Okay, coil it, don't cut it. Got it.
And the final, never. Always, always use the provided power adapter.
But if I lose it, can I just use a random laptop charger that fits the plug?
No, please no. The adapter provided is specifically calibrated for the exact wattage and amperage your specific sign draws. Using a random charger can either fail to power the sign entirely, or worse, overload it and completely fry the LEDs in seconds.
Game over.
Exactly. Use the brick that came in the box.
Fair enough. You know, zooming out a bit, I want to acknowledge the design philosophy from heartneon.com that runs through this whole guide. They build their signs specifically to be lightweight. They pre-drill the mounting holes. They're making this process incredibly intuitive.
It's all about accessibility.
Right.
They want to make the installation feel less like a highly technical construction job and more like simple, intuitive home decor. Whether you're putting it up for a weekend wedding or mounting it permanently in a cafe or your bedroom.
It lowers the barrier to entry so anyone can have this kind of art in their space.
Which is fantastic.
It really is. So, to summarize the takeaways for everyone listening, the secret to a jaw-dropping neon sign isn't just the quality of the light itself, it is the preparation.
It's getting the leveling perfect.
It's managing the cables so they disappear.
And it's respecting the physical limits of that acrylic backing. Treat it well.
So true. Reading through all this left me with a broader thought about the things we bring into our homes. We so often buy things based purely on how they look in the store or how they look at a perfectly styled photo online.
We buy the idea of the thing.
Exactly. But the true relationship with any object, especially art, actually begins with how we integrate it into our physical space. The installation isn't just a chore to get through, it's the final act of the design process.
That's a great way to look at it.
If you rush the hanging, if you leave the wires dangling, you compromise the art itself. The permanence of the installation is what makes it part of your home.
It's a commitment to the space.
It is. So next time you're facing a blank wall, take your time.
And use a level.
Always use a level. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
We will see you all next time.